Welcome to another episode of Spectral Quest. I'm your host, Harris Lamonti. On the last episode, we heard stories about the Santa Rosa Rural Cemetery located in Santa Rosa, California. This beautiful and historically significant cemetery's landscape possesses a mysterious embrace and subdued energy that lays like a fog about the headstones. Although somewhat foreboding, the cemetery still has a way to welcome you with a warm-hearted emotion. You feel it the moment that you step through the front gate. Rebecca told us of some of those buried here at the 1906 earthquake memorial, erected in 1908. The motors hung from a long since gone tree in 1920s, and some of the other residents that are buried here. We caught a glimpse into many long ago lives that Rebecca brought to life through her stories, adding a vocal and visual image to our experience. You couldn't help feeling the roller coaster of emotions when we were hearing the sometimes tragic details of their lives. Chelsea and I did an investigation behind the vault. A spirit was touching Chelsea, letting her know their presence. We got a few weak and unclear EVPs. An additional night investigation with Rick proved fruitful. An EVP came through loud and clear. In this episode, we will hear more amazing stories of the Santa Rosa Rural Cemetery's residents. We will do additional investigations at other locations on this 17-acre cemetery. And we will review more photo and EVP evidence and hear a story that you will never forget. All this when we come back. Chelsea and I were walking around in the cemetery, and we came to the graves of Sarah Geneva Duffins. Rebecca will tell us her story. I asked Chelsea to tell me what she was sensing from Sarah's grave. What Chelsea told us was confirmed through an EVP.
I feel like she was in the hospital for a while.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Also, I just keep hearing my baby. My baby. Whatever happened, she wasn't expecting, I don't feel. That she was expecting, and that she was in the hospital for a while.
She wasn't expecting what?
To be in the hospital for a while. I feel like there's a ton of pressure on my head also. Like it's just being squeezed, like it's being popped. I don't know if that's something she experienced or not. What? I also feel like she's wanting to take back a lot of things and do things differently. And then back to the baby. Very sad. So what do you know? Very sad. So what do you know?
So Dr. Burke's sanatorium was up in Altruria, which was a little suburb of Santa Rosa at the time. The only thing that's left of Altruria is a road now up in Fountain Grove. But Dr. Burke was an interesting character. He had this sanatorium, and he had a wife and son who lived there, and he wanted to get rid of his wife, so he decided one day to set dynamite under her bed and blew her up. But he actually managed to only blow up part of her face. And the baby with the 2-year-old was still in the room at the time, but the baby was okay. So she went to the doctor to try to take care of herself after this. She didn't know where the dynamite came from. So Dr. Burke says, "Oh, let me put some salve on it." Her arm and her face were in bad shape. So he put this salve all over, and she kept getting worse and worse. And so she started getting suspicious. So she went to her attorney and said, "I think something on the salve is causing me to be ill." So the attorney took it to get it analyzed, and they found out that it was full of arsenic. So he was really trying to get rid of her. Finally, they put him on trial. He was sentenced to 5 years in San Quentin. And after that, he came back to Santa Rosa and, believe it or not, started up his practice again. And he had this sanatorium where there were a lot of unusual happenings and mysterious deaths. And that's what we think happened with Sarah Geneva Duffin. She was young, she was in her 20s. She was staying at the sanatorium and just got continually worse and suspiciously died. Okay, so one of the workers came down here and leaned over on a tree and said, "So, Sarah, what happened up at the sanitarium?" And then he felt a touch on his shoulder. And of course, he jumped back. And we feel like Sarah's trying to tell us something, maybe what happened to her. And so we always tell people if they're coming down this way and they feel a tap on the shoulder, they should stop and try to listen to see what she has to say.
Sarah, can you talk into my speaker here and tell everybody what you were trying to tell me? What happened to your baby? Do you know why you were kept in the hospital for so long? What accident are you talking about? Do you remember the doctor's name that did all that horrible stuff to you? What's one thing you want us to know? Okay, thank you, Sarah.
Why am I hearing Jefferson? Why am I hearing Jefferson? And who was the gentleman on the other side of the cemetery? Do you want us to go that direction? And who was the gentleman on the other side of the cemetery? Do you want us to go that direction?
Who's making my side hurt like I'm being stabbed? The one's picking up. We're here by the tree that looks really cool. Looks like kind of like a portal tree where you can step in and go to another dimension. What happens with this tree? Oh, my stomach is really starting to bother me. Oh, my stomach is really starting to bother me. Who's here with us? I'm thinking 3. I've seen 3. Is there 3 of you with us? It's movement. Can you tell us one of your names? It's a bird in the background. Screaming in the background. Oh, my ear. Okay, I know you're here. Instead of talking in my ear because I can't understand, can you please just talk into our recorders? You can do the same thing you're doing in my ear, but just talk in the recorders. This is a recorder. Okay, you're gonna play back. Thank you.
When we visit a location where I have previous knowledge of the backstory or about the paranormal activities that are happening in that specific place, I don't give any information about anything to my team members because I don't want to temper the reading of what they are sensing. I want to keep our investigations clean, honest, and objective. We are here to inform you, not to scare you. While conducting investigations at the rural cemetery, I set up a bit of a test for Chelsea. I purposely led her to specific locations of burial sites that I had some knowledge of. I brought her into the area where John Richardson's grave is located and let her do her thing.
I can just feel the heat coming off from my hands to this. There's a lot of, you can't see it, but there's heat, like energy waves between my hand and this. I'm also picking up here that he was very stern, very much about his business, very hardworking. There's just like no cut dry, I think's the term, where he's just all about his business. He's very proud of his accomplishments and what he's done so far.
Chelsea's reading was amazingly accurate. She was able to give me information that was true to John's life. John Richards was a successful and popular black barber who died in 1879. John Richards ran a way station for freed slaves before the Civil War. He moved here to Santa Rosa. Richards was a hard worker and fit in that community perfectly. The quality of and high demand for his work soon led him to open a second barber shop location. John Richards' story was one of success. I can feel someone around us. Are you watching what we're doing? What is your name? I can feel someone around us. Are you watching what we're doing? What is your name?
Do you have something you want to say? There's a lot of movement with the leaves. John, if you're here, can you please speak into my recorder as loud as you can? There's a lot of movement with the leaves. John, if you're here, can you please speak into my recorder as loud as you can? Did you guys have something to do with law enforcement? It says native of New York. Did you guys have something to do with law enforcement? It says native of New York.
We're not gonna hurt you, so please don't hurt us. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I see you.
I can hear them. I see them.
I see you. Can you come over? We're not gonna hurt you, so please don't hurt us. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I see you.
I can hear them. I see them.
I see you. Can you come over? Who was that person?
Who just made a noise over there?
Where
You
did it
just
come
go
from?
home.
I think they're going home. Oh!
Another way. I saw that too.
Who was that person?
Who just made a noise over there?
Where
You
did it
just
come
go
from?
home.
I think they're going home.
Another way. I saw that too.
On the next story, I had an exhilarating experience that I will never forget. On the evening of Friday the 13th, we visited the Santa Rosa Rural Cemetery for a night tour that Rebecca was hosting. Volunteer performers reenacted 13 stories of departure of people buried here. Upon arriving at the location of the 12th story, a disturbing story of a doctor killing his wife and then poisoning his daughter. In this location, as the audience huddled close in anticipation, as the actors began their dramatic execution, noises from directly behind us diverted my attention. It sounded like someone was walking on dry branches. Several in the crowd, having heard the same commotion, also turned to see who or what was causing the ruckus. From their vantage point, and with the darkness of the moonless night, nothing was notably visible, so they returned their attention back to the scene in play. However, from my perspective, I could clearly see a woman dressed in black, walking with a young boy, just 10 yards from the group. Yet, no one looked back the second time. From this point, the woman and the young boy started walking in this direction, disappearing right behind this tree. In a moment, I realized what I was seeing. I knew there were spirits, and they appeared to be complete. After the actors were finished with their tale, we began the walk to the next saga. I explained to my friend and one of the tour guides the paranormal vision I had just witnessed. The crowd continued to the final story location, but I was so excited about what I had seen that I stayed a bit behind, continuing to look into the darkened cemetery for more sightings. A few minutes into my pursuit, my friend came rushing back where I was standing, telling me that the hair on the back of his neck was standing up. He explained that the woman and the boy that I had just seen and described to him were the exact description of the people in the next ghastly tale, now being told at location 13. This is their grisly story. A couple of weeks after I saw Nancy and her grandson walking in the cemetery, Rick and I did a photo investigation. I was taking pictures in quick succession. You can clearly see a shape beginning to form. These are the pictures that capture the forming of the apparition. The story doesn't end here. We came back to the cemetery to film more of Nancy Archer and her grandson's story. With camera in hand and in the light of day, we managed to capture 2 orbs just behind the trees where I saw Nancy and her grandson walking. Now, I can't tell you if the orbs captured on film are Nancy and Paul or not. But it was a pretty awesome coincidence to capture them in the exact location where I saw their ghostly shapes just nights before. Take a look. The Santa Rosa Rural Cemetery is a beautiful place, full of history, macabre stories, and activities that you can enjoy all year long. Come to visit if you're in the area. You can enjoy a nice hike, take in the rural landscape, and absorb some local history. Rebecca did an amazing job telling us stories of some of the people that are at rest here. I truly enjoy her tales and highly recommend you join her on one of her night tours, just to see how some of those on tour here spend their last moment among the living. You never know if you will encounter a ghost from one of those stories, like I did. Maybe if you lean over Sarah Geneva Duffin's grave, she will tap you on the shoulder and tell you what happened to her. You might see Mr. Lemon at the McDonald Street entrance, ready to welcome you to the cemetery. During the investigations that the Spectral team has executed throughout the year, we have encountered a wide range of spirits. Some were friendly, some not so much, but many of them are eager to talk with you and make their presence felt. One thing is very clear. Paranormal activity here at the Santa Rosa Rural Cemetery is intense and off the charts. Until next time, I'm your host, Harris Lamonti, and this has been a Spectral Quest.